Every organization tells a story. The question is, does yours inspire people to bring their best? Welcome to the Joy-Centric Culture Podcast, and I'm your host, Bill Capodagli, author of the brand new book, Creating a Joy-Centric Culture, and the best-selling books, The Disney Way and Innovate the Pixar Way. Here we're going to explore how leaders turn purpose into practice and workplaces into communities where people belong, grow, and matter. Not with slogans, but with daily choices. Because joy isn't just a perk, it's a practice. And culture isn't what you say, it's what you live. So let's begin. Welcome to episode 1, Why Joy is the New Competitive Advantage. When people find joy in their work, excellence follows naturally. During the next 12 episodes of this podcast, I will answer these fundamental questions. Why joy? Why now? And why is joy more than just a feel-good concept? Why is it the next great competitive advantage in the workplace? You will no longer think of joy as a perk, but joy as a strategy. This episode sets the stage for our journey through the Dream, Believe, Dare, Do framework. A little bit about my background. I was trained as an industrial engineering consultant, and I had the honor to continue my training with Dr. W. Edwards Deming. He's a gentleman who began the worldwide quality revolution by teaching that purpose, systems, and respect for people were the true foundations of excellence. My journey continued by studying the life and philosophy of the great Walt Disney, a visionary who believed deeply in imagination, storytelling, and treating people with dignity and respect. His philosophy can be summed up in 4 timeless words: dream, believe, dare, and do. In 1998, after modeling Walt's philosophy with scores of our consulting clients, I co-authored the best-selling book, The Disney Way. It's currently in its 3rd edition, named by Fortune magazine as a best business book, so useful you may whistle while you work. I've also spent years studying and working with other leaders who live that philosophy, people like my friend John Christensen, the creator of the fish philosophy, who reminded the world that fun and energy are not frivolous. They're the fuel that drive most businesses. Simon Sinek, who challenged leaders to start with why, reconnecting people to meaning. And Alex Liu, the retired CEO of A.T. Kearney Consulting, whose research in his book JoyWorks showed that joy is not a luxury, it's measurable, practical, and transformational. Every one of these thinkers understood something profound. When you create the conditions for joy, people do extraordinary things. And that's why I've dedicated my career and now this podcast to helping leaders bring this to life. We're living now in a moment like no other. Burnout is at historical highs, engagement is at historical lows, and trust between employees, managers, and institutions is fragile to say the least. And people aren't asking for more pay or perks. They're asking for something much, much deeper. Does my work matter? Am I valued? Is this a place where I can grow? Does this culture bring out the best in me or the worst in me? Every leader knows in their heart, you can't just mandate engagement. You can't lecture people into caring. You can't program your way to a new culture. Culture is a living system, and joy is its heartbeat. A joy-centric culture comes from something people feel and embrace in their hearts, not from a policy manual. Most leaders don't wake up in the morning hoping to create a miserable workplace. Yet somewhere between good intentions and daily operations, many workplaces drift into fear, bureaucracy, silence, and disengagement, not because leaders are bad people, because traditional leadership simply got it all wrong. For over a century, leadership was designed around control. Control the people, control the output, control overtime, control the process. Tell workers what to do, when to do it, and how to do it. But we're human beings, we're not just clogs in a machine. We're storytellers, innovators, creators, and we thrive when we matter. The organizations that will win in 2026 and beyond are the ones that elevate joy to a strategic imperative. And why? Because joy drives the 5 outcomes that every leader wants and every organization needs. Number 1, higher performance. Number 2, better customer experiences. Number 3, stronger loyalty. Number 4, faster innovation. And number 5, a workplace people advocate for, not escape from. Alex Liu's research in JoyWorks found that employees experiencing joy at work deliver measurably better results. Walt Disney knew this 100 years earlier. Deming proved it statistically, and neuroscientists now support it biologically. Joy unlocks excellence because joy unlocks human potential. For decades, leadership was defined by authority, expertise, and decision-making power. But joy-centric leadership is defined by something else, creating the environment where people can thrive. Joy is not a mood you push down into the organization. Joy is a natural byproduct of a system that respects people. Walt Disney understood this deeply. Deming explained it through systems thinking and constancy of purpose. Christensen described it through the fish philosophy, and Simon Sinek reframed it as why we work. Alex Liu proved it through data. Their messages were all remarkably consistent. When people feel valued, trusted, and inspired, they create extraordinary results. Leadership, therefore, is not about being the smartest person in the room. It's about shaping that room so others can shine. This podcast will guide leaders through that transformation step by step. When people experience joy at work, 3 things happen immediately. Number 1, creativity increases. Joy activates the brain's prefrontal cortex, the same center responsible for problem solving and innovation. Number 2, trust increases. When people feel safe and respected, their brains release oxytocin, the chemical of connection and collaboration. Number 3, performance increases. Positive emotions broaden thinking, sharpen judgment, and energize action. In other words, joy is the engine of human excellence. You cannot command excellence. You can only create conditions for it. That's the essence of a joy-centric culture. So if joy is so powerful, what kills it? After surveying thousands of workers and organizations after organization, I found 5 consistent barriers. Number 1, fear. Fear of making mistakes, fear of speaking up, fear of losing your job, fear of being judged. Number 2, inconsistent values and lack of communication. Leaders say one thing and reward another. Number 3, trust and micromanagement. Nothing erodes joy faster than lack of trust. Number 4, bureaucracy. Systems built to control often end up suffocating workers. And number 5, lack of purpose. People can handle hard work, but they can't handle meaningless work. The good news is that every one of these barriers is fixable. That's what this season will help leaders do. Fix the system so the joy can flow naturally. In my new book, Creating a Joy-Centric Culture, I share a powerful example from the Four Seasons Resort at Kudahara. Kudahara is a small island off the coast of India, and in 2004, a tsunami struck that island and destroyed the resort. Fortunately, no one was seriously injured, but it would take 2 years to rebuild. Now, most organizations would have furloughed or laid off the 200 employees, stating that it was just an act of God. But not Isidore Sharp. He built a $3 billion company on one strategic value, the golden rule. Treat others the way you'd like to be treated. It's easy to live this value in good times, but the real test happens in troubled times. So what does he do? He relocates every one of those 200 workers to his facilities in Dallas, Palm Beach, Hong Kong, Shanghai, Singapore, Tokyo, and more. 2 years later, all 200 employees returned for the grand reopening. Don't you suppose that each one of those employees would walk through fire for Isidore? When values are clear, decisions are easy. That decision was not about operations, it was not about strategy, it was about joy, respect, and humanity. If your people matter, your decisions show it. In traditional leadership, performance comes first and joy comes later. In a joy-centric culture, joy comes first and performance follows. It may sound simple, but it's revolutionary. Walt Disney said it 100 years ago, take care of your frontline employees and your customer, and your bottom line will take care of itself. You cannot expect excellence from people who live in fear. You can't expect innovation from people who feel unseen, and you can't earn loyalty from people who feel insignificant. But when people feel joy, not amusement, not pleasure, but deep fulfillment, they give their best, not because they have to, because they want to. This season is built around a very deliberate flow, the same journey leaders take when building a joy-centric culture. In episode 2, we'll talk about dream, rediscovering your story or purpose. Episode 3 is all about values and the golden rule leadership. In episode 4 is believe, the leader's mindset shift. In episode 5 is all about the psychological safety, trust is the foundation of joy. In episode 6 is about dare, empowerment, and autonomy. In episode 7, we'll be talking about Deming and his PDCA cycle, joy through continuous improvement. In episode 8, moments of truth. In episode 9, early adapters and how culture really changes. In episode 10, joy metrics and measuring what actually matters. In episode 11, do scaling joy. And in our last episode 12, we'll talk about case studies and action steps from the field. By the end of this season, leaders will be able to transform a team, a department, a division, or an entire global enterprise. Years ago, I was consulting with a mid-sized company that had been stuck in a cycle of mediocre performance. Their leadership team was frustrated, employees were disengaged, turnover was high, and their leader was a typical command and control advocate. And we were trying to convince him that there was a more effective way to lead. Well, one afternoon, while walking through the facility, the leader and I noticed a frontline employee helping a customer. The customer had a problem, a small one, but it mattered to her. And the employee handled it beautifully, warm, human, joyful. It wasn't scripted, it was sincere. Later, I pulled her aside and asked, how did you learn to serve a customer like that? And she smiled and shrugged. I just treat people the way I'd like to be treated. The golden rule, not laminated, but lived. But then she said something that changed the direction of the entire cultural initiative. She said, if leaders here trusted us more, we would do more things like this all the time. That one sentence cracked open the truth that changed the leader's approach. The absence of joy wasn't in the employees, it was in the system. People want to give joy. They're wired to serve, to create, and to contribute. But all too often, the system stops them. This podcast, this entire joy-centric movement exists to fix that. By the way, that leader is the CEO of the entire organization, and joy whispers through every corner. Thank you for joining me for episode 1 of the Joy-Centric Culture Podcast. If this message resonates with you, if you believe that work should be a place of meaning, trust, and fulfillment, then stay with us, because the journey gets deeper with every episode. Next time, episode 2, Dream, rediscovering your story or purpose at work. Remember, joy is not an extra. Joy is not a perk. Joy is not a myth. Joy is the most powerful leadership strategy in the world. And I'm thrilled to take this journey with you. See you next time.